Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. We are finally live. Apologies for the wee delay there. You've no idea the technical headache of putting these live streams together. But here we are. We're live. You should be able to hear me. Everything should be all good. We're here, of course, for the live starting 11 prediction for tomorrow's massive Champions League playoff first leg against Bayern Munich. And the big news is that Daizen Maeda is free to play tomorrow after Celtic appealed his 2-match suspension, and UEFA decided that that was correct and that he was allowed to take part tomorrow. So disregard everything I said in that preview show yesterday where I spoke about Daizen not being available. He is back available. That's the big talking point coming into this game. We were all preparing the team in terms of thinking Jota would play, Daizen would be out. It would be a huge blow for us, both offensively and defensively in the game. But there's no doubt that it's a huge boost for the team, for Brendan Rodgers, that Daizen's available to play in the game tomorrow. I've just finished watching Brendan's press conference from today. Some good tactical questions in there, mostly from the fan media that took part in it. I think you can tell it's obviously a difficult balance for a manager to strike in a game like this against an opponent like this. We're obviously at home. We want to take the game to Bayern Munich, but we need to remember that they are Bayern Munich and they are one of the best teams in Europe. And I think at the end of the day, if we can get any sort of result and performance tomorrow that keeps us in with some sort of outside fighting chance in the second leg, then that will be a good outcome for us. This is obviously going to be extremely difficult. And I think as a fan, you always find yourselves in the build-up to these games, building it up in your head, and then the closer you get to the game, you've worked out a scenario in your mind as to how we can go and win. And listen, that has been a football supporter, but you do need to remember that the quality that Bayern Munich have got, and if they turn up and they're at it and they perform at their highest level, it's going to be very difficult for us to keep up with them. But we are at home. We've performed really well in the competition this season. The home form that we've been building back in the competition, I think it's 6 games unbeaten now, goes to show you that we can compete at this level, and we've made major strides this season. And I think the big thing tomorrow, the atmosphere is going to be incredible. If you're going, make as much noise as you possibly can and get behind the team. But I think the thing the team have shown us this season, more than anything else, is that even if we go behind in the game, they can respond. We went behind against Leipzig. We had a tough game against Club Brugge where we went behind, and obviously the Carter Vickers own goal really threw everybody. Still responded in the second half. That was a hard fought tactical battle, that game, but even the Young Boys game, which wasn't going our way for long spells, we still found a way to win it. And that's why I think tomorrow it's really important to stick with the team, even if we go behind in the game against a team at this level. I think the team have shown maturity. They've shown that they've got better at this level, both mentally, physically and technically this season. And it's a brilliant prospect for us tomorrow. You can look at it in terms of a free hit, because we've achieved our first objective by getting to this stage, and we have been drawn against one of the biggest teams in Europe. It's a brilliant spectacle. Full house at Celtic Park tomorrow. Absolutely buzzing for it, and can't wait to get started. So let's get into the team then. As we go through, obviously this is a live format. Please like the stream, and we'll get as many viewers on as possible. We'll go through some of your questions and comments as we go through as well. I'll leave some time at the end to answer some of those, but we'll start in goals. And of course, Kasper Schmeichel missed the game at the weekend, but he will be back tomorrow. I think it made sense at the weekend in the game against Wraith Rovers to give Kasper a rest, and more importantly to give Sinisalo an opportunity to make his Celtic debut. It was a good opportunity for him, given that it was a relatively low profile fixture against Wraith. I think he didn't really have a save to make of note in the game, but just some tidying up to do at the back and some passes out. But good for him to make his debut. Kasper coming back in needs to have a big night. There is no doubt he's going to face shots at his goal tomorrow night. You would back Bayern Munich to carve out some chances, even if they have an off night. So Kasper's going to have a huge performance, both with the ball at his feet in terms of if they're coming to presses, but also, of course, commanding his area, making saves, as he has done in this campaign so far. So let's hope he does have a big performance in him tomorrow night. Back four, I'm going Johnston, Carter Vickers, Trusty and Taylor. You can let me know in the comments if you think that is That back four picks itself, I think it does. Some discussion about Schlupp and could he start for the physicality he might bring to the game, but I think that's the first choice back four, and I think that's who Brendan Rodgers will go with tomorrow evening. They need to have big nights. Carter Vickers fit and available. As it stands, he missed the Aston Villa game. He's missed a lot of games at this level for us over the course of the last 2 seasons. He needs to have a huge, huge night tomorrow, and Trusty alongside him, who has had a few shaky moments in a Celtic jersey in recent months. He's got to be strong, he's got to stand up and perform, and to his credit, he did that in some big European games this season, away at Atalanta, at home to Leipzig. He performed to a high level, and him and the rest of his defensive partners tomorrow are going to have another big night to get us a positive result. Midfield, again, I think it picks itself. McGregor, Engels, Hatate. I've said numerous times this season, I think that is the three that Brendan Rodgers values as his first choice three. I think Hatate's been good in recent weeks. Again, I think you can see the thread in his performances that in the Champions League he has stepped up more often than not this season. And let's hope that he can have a big night tomorrow again up against the Bayern Munich midfield. It's going to be difficult, and again, it's not all about the offensive side of the game in terms of what he can do on the ball. It's about being diligent and doing his defensive work off the ball as well, and that goes for Engels. I think Engels struggled in that Club Brugge game with the running he had to do off the ball in terms of their shape and the problems they were causing us, particularly in the first half. He's a brilliant striker of the ball, he's a brilliant passer of the ball, Arne Engels, but he's going to have to do the other side of the game tomorrow in terms of, again, like Hatate, tracking runners, making sure he's concentrated at all times when Bayern Munich are on the ball. And again, when he's on it, if he can go and find that pass to unlock the Bayern defence and hurt them if they are going to play a high line, then let's hope he can do that as well. But it's a big night for everybody. Again, Callum McGregor in there. Brilliant against young boys, absolutely brilliant, stood up to the occasion, dictated the play. I think Bayern Munich will obviously make that more difficult for him. If you look at the game against Aston Villa, where we're on the back foot, they're the team dictating the play, it becomes really hard for Callum to have that role in the game. And again, the focus goes on his defensive qualities and how he can fare against his midfield counterparts and the opposition. So the midfield need to have a huge night, like the rest of the team. Right, front three, this is where the big hitters come in, and Daizen Maeda is back on the left-hand side. I think, again, self-explanatory really. Nicholas Kuhn's had a huge season. Daizen Maeda probably just pipping him now for Player of the Year as it stands. We'll come to him in a minute, but Kuhn this season, both domestically and in the Champions League, has been massive. He's again up against a former team. He was at Bayern Munich as a youth player, and I think if you go back to that Leipzig game, again, a former team, he stood up and performed that night. He was absolutely terrific. He does have that pace. And again, one of the things about Bayern Munich, if you watch some of their games this season, they've had 3 defeats away from home in the Champions League, and that has from time to time caused them problems. That high line they like to play defensively. Now, whether they're going to come and do that for 90 minutes at Celtic Park tomorrow, I don't know. They may well do. They may well fancy themselves to come and finish this tie in the first leg. And if they do leave those gaps, that's where we need the likes of Hatate and Engels to try and find the gaps and get the likes of Kuhn and Maeda in behind them with the pace, because I think that's something we've done pretty well this season, counter-attacked, and again, both domestically and in Europe, but it becomes a bigger weapon in Europe because we have less of the ball, and I expect that to be the case tomorrow night again. So again, big night for Kuhn we need, and Daizen Maeda, such a huge boost, not just because if you think about his career at Celtic, how important he's been in the bigger games in terms of the work that he puts in defensively and the way he tracks runners, the way he presses the game, but right now he is the informed player in this Celtic team. He's the informed player in the country. I think that's 5 goals in his last 2 games. He got a hat-trick at the weekend. It was funny to see Brendan Rodgers making light of the fact that he's played the last 90 minutes and he's absolutely ran him into the ground since that sending off against young boys. So again, does that, we always say that he doesn't get tired, he's like the man with 3 lungs, but let's hope he's in top shape tomorrow, because again, he's going to have to put in so much work, and that is the thing that he really brings to the team. His technical side of the game, his finishing's getting much better, his composure's getting much better. But again, I just think as a teammate of Daizen Maeda, you cannot shirk the responsibility to defend to chase people down, to press in dangerous situations, because he sets that example so perfectly for the rest of the team. I think he's a big goal threat tomorrow, and again, he's a nightmare to play against, so let's hope his hot streak of form can continue. And we need a big night from Ida, and credit to him. He was brilliant against Aston Villa. He eventually grew into the game. He scored 2 brilliant goals. And I think his hold-up play is going to have to be important tomorrow. There's no doubt that we're going to need to get the ball up the pitch and relieve some pressure from time to time in the game. And he's got to be that focal point that, whether it be Carter Vickers, Trusty, one of the midfield players, they can just go a wee bit longer into his chest or into his feet, and he can relieve that pressure and get us up the pitch, because that is going to be a huge facet of the game tomorrow. Bayern Munich are going to have huge spells of pressure, you would expect, with the quality they'll have on the pitch. So we need a big performance from Adam as well, and that is the common theme, that we need big performances from everyone all across the pitch tomorrow night. Right, let's get to the live chat and look at some of your questions. Jamie McGowan, the same team I've picked in my head. See, I think that is the case. I think when it comes to a big game like this and everybody's fit, I think James Forrest aside, everybody's fit. I think that team picks itself. I think it's clear. If you look at the teams Brendan Rodgers picked in the big games this season, it's that 11. Obviously, with the omission of Kyogo, who's departed, and needed to replace him, it's that team that has started these big games. And I think tomorrow night that will be the case as well. Why would you bench your main striker, who's shown at long last he can poach goals? It's Maeda, Ida and Kun up front, a no-brainer. Aye, absolutely. I think the interesting thing about Maeda being fit tomorrow is that it changes the outlook for Jota in this tie. It changes his role in this tie, and I think hopefully that can help us, because Jota, to start the game, there was always question marks over his fitness, his sharpness, because he hasn't played a lot of football in the last 18 months. I think now, tomorrow, for the prospect to be that Jota as a player off the bench later in the game, depending on how the game's set up, he can become an out ball for us in terms, again, getting the ball up the pitch with his dribbling ability, giving Bayern Munich something different to think about defensively. I think he can be a game changer for us in the second half. Again, we've got to perform well and get the game in a positive position late in the second half, but I think Jota coming off the bench to impact the game is better for him, given where his fitness and his sharpness is at right now. So it's not just the uptick of Maeda being back and everything he brings to the team with his form just now. It's also the fact that the heat is off Jota in terms of his fitness and his sharpness, because he can now play hopefully a pivotal role in this game off the bench tomorrow. A few of you talking about Luke McCowan coming in. I don't see it. Again, I think Brendan in these big games has always elected with that midfield, certainly in recent months, and I think he's going to go with it again tomorrow. Don't get me wrong, Luke's done well. He's impressed me just about every single time he's played for us since coming in the summer. I just don't think he's in the position to go and start in this game. We could see him off the bench, and don't get me wrong, he's got qualities he can bring to the game that could help us off the bench in the second half, but I don't see Luke getting the start tomorrow. Any more questions before we go? Just for laughs, Ida's probably a better impact player tomorrow. In that case, what would you do? Do you put Maeda through the middle and Jota on the left-hand side? But that brings back in all the questions about Jota's match sharpness. And I think Maeda, he's shown he can play through the middle. He really has. But I think Ida, in terms of his physical presence and trying to help us get up the pitch, I think that can be a huge factor in the game tomorrow. Again, don't get me wrong, we're going to have to find a way to stop Bayern in numerous ways. They've got so much quality all over the pitch. If you think about Musiala in that 10 position behind Harry Kane himself, who scores for fun, obviously. His record at Bayern Munich has been incredible. It's probably gone under the radar a wee bit because they didn't win the Bundesliga last year. It was viewed as a failure that season. Obviously, when Bayern Munich don't win the league title, it is viewed as a failure, and I think Harry Kane's record's gone a wee bit under the radar. He's scoring goals for fun, and you know that if you give him chances tomorrow, he's likely to put them away. And then you think about the quality they'll have out wide. If it's going to be Olise, if it's going to be Kingsley Coman on the other side, they've got an array of options, and they're all top players. And again, the big challenge for Celtic stepping up to this level is not just technically and tactically, it's physically as well. And that's the thing that really stands out if you think about the Dortmund game, if you think about the Aston Villa game. It's the athleticism of these guys as well. They're not just the best football players in the world, they're the best athletes in the world as well. And that's where we have to step up and show that we can compete with them, both technically and physically, to stand a chance of keeping this tie alive going into the second leg in Munich next week. So that's it for tonight. Thank you for joining us on this live stream. If you haven't already, please like the stream below, and we'll be back with you tomorrow after the game outside the stadium with the guys for the full-time reaction. Let's hope it's a brilliant night. It'll be a brilliant atmosphere, and let's hope the team can go and perform and get us some sort of positive result to take to Munich next week. So wherever you're watching it, enjoy the game, and we will see you tomorrow. Cheers.